With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
according to Twitch, according to YouTube chat.
Again, for those just tuning in, apologies for the technical issues. As for those jumping in, Calix Poon is at the top of the board over Julio Palacio, J.R. Williams, Mitchell Ian Green, and Ryan Miles in the midst of final qualifying here at the Nürburgring, the 8th round of the season for the Precision Racing League and its Formula 3 series. Palacio leading the way in the point standings entering tonight over his teammate in Williams, but everyone chasing Calix Poon for the chance to try and go back-to-back tonight with the tempo that 59 has set all night long so far.
Yeah, I was saying earlier, you know, I was away last week, and I applaud you for doing this race by yourself, but Calix Poon won last week in that incredible race at Donington Park, and here he is again, top of the board right now with about 3.5-ish minutes left, but here comes Julio Palacio, who's going to try to set a fast lap here. We'll see if he can do it and take that lead away from, or that pole away, pardon me, from Calix Poon.
Keep in mind, Palacio has not had the qualifying pace. No poles for the 194 this season. It's been all race pace. But consistency wins championships, and consistency has been the one thing Palacio has had over a majority of the competitors this season. Yet to get a win, in fact, in this season.
Hey, speaking of consistency, if I can change the topic for a second, someone who's outside their consistency, look at P13, Justin. That's Takeshi Kita up in the top half of the field in qualifying.
And that is a rarity, believe it or not, for the 64. Mr. Sneaky known for starting in the 20s. J.R. Williams amongst those, we're going to see if they can pick up 0.2 of a second here in this session. One pole so far this season. Last time out's running not the way he needed to go for the points. 149.2 that time by, no improvement. You know who also is really punching their weight higher than much of the season in qualifying? Ryan Miles, top 5 so far. This is impressive for the Atomic Racing car.
This is really impressive. I mean, Ryan Miles doesn't feel like a name we get to talk about a whole lot some weeks, but doing pretty well, and yeah, really performing well. Of course, last week in the point, we thought it'd be a big point shakeup when there was contact amongst the leaders, and it really messed with Kevin San Diego and others. When whoa, there it is. Hold on to that car.
And that's actually. Yeah, was about to say, that might be a bit of a segue towards the racetrack a bit here tonight, because the curbing here can be tricky, especially in that chicane up to the Coca-Cola curb, the second to last quarter complex. Mercedes Arena amongst the areas also to keep an eye on here tonight that is in effect here for this evening.
Yeah, this is a tricky track. Obviously, it's the Nürburgring. We've all been here on iRacing about, 407 times probably. In different variants, right? This, of course, is the Grand Prix variant. It's the one that F1 uses in real life. It's obviously a much shorter version of the full track. This is the hardest track for me with variants, Justin. I don't know why. It's harder for me to keep track of which of these layouts, uses what corners. So I imagine this would be hard for some drivers tonight to run this track.
Daniel Cranefuss, meanwhile, coming out of that Coca-Cola curve, heading up to Hoghacken. Start off the next time around. Amongst those just coming off and off track. That's one of the heavy braking zones of our opportunities today. Robert Ridgway amongst those also, you can say, capitalizing on consistency. Just one top 5. That's good enough for third of the points and leading the flag for Atomic Racing this season.
Yeah, that's a very good run into points to be in top 3. And we saw the points at the beginning of the broadcast, and there's very few points between him and J.R. Williams. Only 26 to be exact. So if he stays consistent, he could do on a Blake Ziti here is currently up in P10 on qualifying. He is back 21st in points. He's had a DNQ and a DNF in this race, or disqualified in a DNF, pardon me, in this race. So a tough season, but P10 at this track is a proud moment, no matter who you are or where you are in the points.
I could say it's been one of the seasons of all time. But Ziti having one of the better qualifying runs, coming up to the checker flag in the session. About 2 minutes and 40 seconds of run-off time. With the current runs, at least 10 drivers have that chance, including Daniel Cranefuss, who had that incident point prior to the start of this lap. Placio, Ian Green, Avando amongst those still pushing. Brett Thurman also in that category. Swindells, Miller, Joshua Chinsky. Also Robert Ridgway.
Of course, remember with this qualifying format, with the way it works, if you're on track and you're on a lap when the checkered flag comes out, the system will let you finish the lap. So we'll see a few different drivers coming across here to try to run down their best run here. This is maybe going to be close, a 45 right here. Let's see.
Thurman and Placio have come in, a 149.2 for Crane Fuss, no improvement. Mitchell and Green led the way in final practice. The 19 car has been amongst those, also able to keep it clean for podiums in back-to-back weeks. Back-to-back second place finishes for this Rust Racing machine. 18th in the point standings despite missing 3 races. Can Mitchell and Green start on the pole? A 148.8, second best in quali.
That's an impressive run right there to end it here. Now we're going to watch Boris Ovando. Boris, of course, has been up and down the top 10 of different races this season and doing well here. Ooh, a little bit of curb there, mine. I started to comment on the curb he caught there, Justin, and then the effects got there before I could say anything.
Richard Swindell's the final driver to take a time, has now just taken the checkered with 1 position change. All drivers are now complete qualifying with 1 minute cushion to spare in the session. So just a few minutes away from racing action here at the Nürburgring. Before we get towards the starting grid, key reminder, in a couple days' time, registration actually opening for the new season of the campaign on August the 13th. If you want to join this grid near the Formula 4 or Formula 3 cars, you can for the start of the season on September 21st. Registration's open to everyone through the Precision Racing League's website on August the 13th. Once again, August the 13th, the date. Drivers now making their way to the grid. Let's see how we start tonight from Germany. Calix Poon starts on the pole with Mitchell and Green in second. Placio, Ridgway, your top 4. J.R. Williams alongside Ryan Miles in the first dozen. Boris Avando to round out that dozen along with Daniel Cranefuss. Steven Ritters welcoming twins to the world on August the 6th. Blake Zady in 10th with Fabio Conte and Brett Thurman rounding up the top 12 in total. Loretto Marini amongst those who had a chance at a podium last time out. Attrition came into play again, though, for the 45. He starts 13th position behind that top 12. Amongst those also in the top 12, just outside of it, Takeshi Kita. Manuel Vargas, Jeff Groff, Caleb Lehman, and Jake Vasconcelos in the top 2/3. Swindell's General, Miller, and Chinsky, followed by Jasper and Calander, and 4 other cars registered. Carter, Nonamaker, and big positioning for San Diego and Harris. Back of the field, they're supposed to start. Both not in the session. And Brett Thurman throwing a 3rd driver with a technical problem. So at least 3 drivers to miss the green.
Yeah, that's an incredible thing for San Diego and others to miss the grid here. That's going to be really difficult. What on our leader? Is that the leader up there on the top left we're waiting on?
Still looking like that's okay for now, but we have 27 seconds for drivers to make their way to the starting grid for tonight's action here at the Nürburgring. Again, Placio a chance to try and build up a bit of a cushion. The distance for one race with the finale not able to be dropped. Remember, max points, 53 points. Think of that number tonight. It's time to go racing. We're all set to go with the Precision Racing League and its M3 series underway from Germany. Oh, and a bad start at the back of the field. 3 cars having a dart around. That's Jasper and Groff amongst those dancing around. The leaders go 2-3 wide off to the arena.
Just waiting to see what's going to happen here. My goodness, look at him scatter already here. That's where the grid happened, and maybe we'll get a chance to a second to go back and watch that bad start, but now we're going to see the cars make their first time through this circuit under green flag, under a race condition. Already, like normal, have our leaders single filing it out and trying to form that draft line.
Couple drivers not wanting to wait in the line, looking to make up spots in it. J.R. Williams holding on to the top 5 for the time being in the early going. Working through Ford curb up to Dunlop before Michael Schumacher rests to start off the second sector. Oh, and some trouble towards the back of the field. 14th on back. Vargas and several others bundled up At least one car off in Marini. We still keep going racing up at the front.
Watching this beautiful race here and watching drivers now start to calculate when they want to make those moves and how fast they want to make them here. We'll see here. Of course, Alex Poon will continue to lead the field around here.
Oh, a big crash in the second pack. The lead pack continuing, but the second pack has imploded. Not a maker. Groff and several more have just crashed in the second pack. At least a third of the field is now out of the race or with damage. In the first lap already, we're not even done the third sector. Vasconcelos is now also out of the race.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll get to go back in our replays and find some of these wrecks since we're focused here in the front. But that's unfortunately not uncommon for this track, JP. This track is known for calamity and big wrecks and heartbreak is what this track is known for, whether it be in this Grand Prix circuit, whether it be in a 24-hour race that we do here in the month of May on iRacing. It's a difficult track.
Top two out to break away by more than a second. Poon leading the first time around. 24 laps up on the board tonight, by the way. And Poon amongst those. Again, part-time schedule. All of a sudden, very much a favorite. In start number 4 tonight, setting the tempo yet again in the Goliath Racing by 36 Tech car. And to put this in perspective, put the team 15th already from it. Here is a look at Calamity Central. Pack 2 imploded several times.
That's a very light tap, if a tap at all, but it's going to create just a check up here and drivers going around. Ooh.
That was Marini.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you said the wing. Indeed.
Yeah, the wing was off that car. Here's the next one you saw in the back of the field. It's going to be Jeff Groff, and what's going to happen to him? Let's wait and find out. Oh, that's not an advised move. That's a ooh. Oh, that's the same wreck. Sorry, that's just different back further back in the field. But that maybe it was trying to avoid the wreck, but man, you can't make that move right there.
Now if you stick towards the next sector. Groff then sees Calamity. That's the contact. Vargas and Nonamaker, and Groff up and over.
Oh my goodness. Wow. And that's it. Go ahead. I'll finish my thought in a second.
Was about to say, very tough line for Nonamaker in the first place. And that led to a lot of discussion on the radio.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. And that's really the heartbreak of this track. Like I said earlier, no matter which format you're driving, whether it be in a sprint race like this, whether it be the 24-hour, wrecks form very quickly here. And with how narrow some of these corners are, they quickly block a track. That's what happened to Jeff Groff. He didn't do anything wrong. He just had nowhere else to go and got ran over and hit a car and ended up, upside down every other way. That's how fast it happens here at the Nürburgring, unfortunately. It's why this track is so difficult, both physically and mentally, for a driver.
Still keep an eye on the race leader, Poon, up by half a second. In green has been very quick down the straightaways, especially down that front stretch. Just not able to find a way around Poon, who has been stronger in terms of consistency for the long haul. Oh, wow. If you're at the back of the field, guess what? You're likely going 3 wide like Crane Fuss is. This is 11, again, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, bundled under a blanket.
Now, let me that close through the corner. Hello. Not clear.
Little error on Kita, but that still hurts the wing. Miller drives on by in turn, making a 5-car fight all of a sudden.
Go back here and watch this action from a moment ago. This will be with Daniel Cranefuss. Just took a shortcut.
Yeah, that's a good way to bundle things up.
It's like one of those Mario Kart moves right there.
I mean, the thing is, in this sim, you cut the corner, you get a penalty. Crane Fuss nearly misses the corner meanwhile. And keep in mind, we're using the very hard braking chicane, not the smoother version of that chicane for that section tonight.
Yeah, we are. In this track, of course, as we said already, a variant of the full track. So a lot of drivers are kind of relearning the track live. And they've had a lot of practice here tonight, plus qualifying. And still, we're too wide through that corner. That's probably the one. Oh, wow. Really wide through that corner for that lead car there.
Yeah, amongst this, Ridgeway, Ovando, Miles, and Palacio all amongst this pack. And Boris Ovando, remember, was amongst those fighting for the race lead with San Diego before really not great plays for the race lead happened at Donington Park. Ovando, in turn, did not finish the race. San Diego had to recover it for the teens. Also,
yeah, so he'd love to come back and have just a great race here and kind of build that confidence back and, you know, kind of get himself involved again.
His teammate Blake Zeedy, meanwhile, right behind Crane Fuss. Last time by, 3 seconds lost for the 55. General also watching in the bit of the popcorn seat. Some aero wash to deal with for Zeedy, but a lot of draft for the braking zone.
Just watching along here to see what will happen. You know, another thing we talked about with this track I'm going to bring up early that may or may not come into play, Justin, there's plenty of opportunities for off tracks here where you can recover and be just fine. But with the incident limit rules in the PRL F3 series, it is possible a couple drivers won't survive tonight just from the number of off tracks they could get here.
Some side by side right behind, though. That's Kita. One of his best qualifying performances all season. Not been able to really do much in the race so far. Up inside 13th. Miller, meanwhile, is up 7 spots. Just up in front of them, by the way, that is. Ascend up the inside by Zeedy as well.
Yep, you see on the ticker on the left-hand side of your screen, 10th and 11th is battling hard here. They're going back and forth on who has what spot. Sometimes just the inside corner matters on who has what spot at what time here.
Yeah, and you can tell General at this point is also saying, what's it off track? Icy a pace. Nearly going off the track at least once already to try and keep up at the tail end of this draft with the double toe.
See these guys here, not much variance in the lines. I was kind of watching this past lap go by here as we've been watching along here. And these guys, look how far they track out. You could almost, like if you just took the front car and do like a paint stripe behind him, I think these guys are pretty much all identical on that line. So either they're all on the right or the wrong line, depending on what you think the proper driving line here is at the Grand Prix.
Let's look at the battle for fourth. Robert Ridgeway. One of his best starting spots again on the season tonight. Still holding on to the top 5 and is not making it too easy. Ridgeway, a longtime series veteran in open wheel competition, multiple-time AM class champion, and this season having his best overall championship performance.
Yeah, and that feels good when you can manage a run like that. I mean, right now, it feels like we would need something, you know, to happen to Julio Palacio to have that championship battle open up. But the battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th is really alive, in my opinion. You saw that graphic in the beginning of the broadcast that talked about it. But, I mean, who knows what happens here this week and next week? You know, Belle Isle next week. Who knows what could happen here as the season winds down.
Especially with Belle Isle being such a attrition point, it could be a very chaotic round, to say the least, and maybe some people's drops. Vincent General, meanwhile, rode the curb just a couple corners ago. That has now lost him ground to the battle for 10th. Instead, Takeshi Kita has a chance for 12th spot.
And I'm excited for this run, JP. And I know Takeshi Kita is a fan favorite here amongst the Race Spot booth, and we're always so happy to see where he finishes. Where he runs right now, as we're riding on board here, this is about where he finishes most races. If he starts here, well, hold on. Oh, that's a little bit of a lockup of a tire there. I'm excited to see where he can finish this race. Man, that was a scary moment there for Takeshi Kita.
And with some of the team speed showcased this season, that's a valid point. Up the inside, meanwhile, trying to force the mistake from Genero. Instead, Genero just powers it up on the right side of the racetrack. But yeah, it's so critical to get track position early because, put this in perspective, if you start on the back, you're essentially starting off with a 5-10 second buffer. He's still 17 seconds back of the leader, but it's much closer than being 34. Still not able to make the pass, by the way.
Well, I think as is the stereotype of iRacing, and really honestly for the past few weeks, I think has been the stereotype of this F3 league, unfortunately, is there's always a, what's the word I want, a kerfuffle in the back of the pack here to start the race, an issue, if you will. And so by not being back there, you're automatically putting yourself in a better spot than, where you could be otherwise. Man, they're almost 3 wide through there. They backed out of it. That was nervous.
Richard Swindell's and Caleb Lehman, with all this scrapping and some of the side-by-side for 12th, have all caught up to this pack. Colander and Jasper also have a chance to do so if they go side-by-side again. And it's the most difficult part of a sequence like this, or at a race in general. If you start at the back and you want good points, you have to get track position. You have to be able to make passes. The problem is, if you can't make a pass quickly, guess what? You lose time. They've lost a second and a half since the start of this battle.
Well, at least the good news for this pack is at least they have each other to draft with and hold some of that speed. The most demotivating thing about racing, and road racing especially, is when you're kind of back there by yourself. No one to draft with, no one to race, no one to push you. So at least, yeah, these guys are far behind, but they have something to race for, and that can help make this time go faster. Now, right now, we're working on the laps. We're working in lap 7 of 24, and we'll wait to see which one runs out first, the clock or the time. It's always a close battle every week.
Still keep an eye on screen. Meanwhile, third spot. The reason for the smoke puff is Jake Vasconcelos missing the entire chicane. Not a factor currently for this grouping, but they've lost about 3 seconds of the top 2. The thing is, they are in the same ballpark as the top 2 on pace. The problem is, that's not going to get you to close up the gap if you stay in that same ballpark, if the ballpark is still 3 miles away.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a hard gap to make up here. So right now, to me, what you got to be thinking about, if you're outside of Poon and Mitchell Ian Green right here, we're seeing 1 and 2. If you're a Palacio, a Robert Widgeway, a Boris Ovanda, what you're hoping for now is that you have a better pit delta. You're already thinking through to those pit stops that will happen in about, I'd guess, somewhere about 10, let's say 4 to 10 laps from now. And you're hoping your pit delta is better and that you can make up time there. Unless one of these guys has a mistake, that's your best opportunity to make gap up on the field.
And you can kind of sense also in the head of Mitchell and Green here the urgency levels, because again, it was quick in final practice, we mentioned, but you talk about finishing second twice. How about 3 times in a row?
Yeah, what's that phrase? Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. That's what comes to mind. I mean, that's a hard pill to swallow because, listen, there's roughly, 23 other guys per week that would be stoked to finish second every week. But at the same time, how many times can you do it before you get mad and you get more aggressive because you want to be first?
2 times. That's my answer. 2 times.
Yeah, maybe only once for some people. I mean, honestly, yeah.
Looking back, go ahead.
Well, I was sorry, that said, though, I want to bring up the comment of that consistency. You've used that word a few times, and it's stuck in my head, consistency. That consistency is what wins you championships. Finish second 3 or 4 or 5 times in the season, and I guarantee you're probably involved in the points battle.
Keep in mind, Mitchell Ian Green not amongst those in the conversation for the fight since he missed 3 races. Still keeping an eye on General in that group with Kita. Still, no one has been able to find any run past either of these cars. Brad Miller, Richard Swindell, Caleb Lehman, all still in that train. Kita still the closest into it. They are reaching lap traffic as a potential factor, or...
Wow, that was close.
You can stick it in up the nose on the send. Still able to stay single file, no contact.
I don't know how there wasn't contact. I mean, as a praise to those drivers... Ooh, that looked scary. The hair on my arm went up when I saw that. It was a nervous moment.
And something has to give eventually because General is struggling a bit on this racetrack. Still.
Yeah, he is struggling a bit, but I'm not sure if he's struggling or if he's struggling to be patient behind Blake Ziti.
Yeah.
I almost think it's more the second. Right now, we're back to the lead here for a second with Mitchell, Ian Green, and Poon. But sometimes there's a difference, and it looks very similar to the eye, which is, are you slow, or are you slowing it because you are...
Oh! Hello, rear wing. Mitchell, Ian Green nearly knocks through Poon. That was a little bit too close for comfort to the back end of Poon.
I don't know if that was a case of Green being aggressive or Poon being conservative, but that almost opened this race up very wide. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Ian Green lucky not to have wing damage. Here's the thing, that checkup may have just opened the door for Palacio to battle for second, because he's still just at the very tail edge of drafting range. Barely.
And what it has done now is it's left a gap here for Poon. This is his biggest lead of the night that I can recall. So, wow, that opened up a big gap there with that checkup. And some things, I think Mitchell Ian Green is happy he checked up. In other ways, maybe he's not so happy he checked up there in that moment.
Oh, lots of battling meanwhile in this battle for 13th. Miller now up there. Kita losing the spot. Let's see how things shaped up in this pack. And this started off with an initial send again on General. Again did not work. And then this opens up the door for everybody to try and pass the Atomic Racing cars. This one, and there's that second Atomic Racing car back there in the pack.
Man, a moment like that, JP, the analogy is hard, but it's like when you open a door at a restaurant for one person, and then 7 more people walk through. That's what that feels like when you have one slip up in a corner and the whole field passes you by. It feels impossible to get out of that scenario sometimes.
And then there's the type of scenario where you try and hold the door open for somebody, just only say it, and then the person says, "Why are you holding the door?" There's an automatic push button to open the door. I don't appreciate it.
That's true.
Speaking of doors being opened, there's one. J.R. Williams passing Ryan Miles. That's for 6th.
Well, speaking of doors being opened, right now it's not the fight for the points lead. Even though Palacio is currently running 3rd, the 2 drivers ahead of him are not the drivers who need. Oh, there's our first pit stop right there. There's 2 cars going down.
This likely to split up the race in half. Kita is coming in. Richard Swindells is coming in. So 2 Atomic Racing cars trying to break out of this pack that's built up behind the 74.
What that will do to keep the analogy alive, Justin, is that will open the door for them to be off cycle for a moment and let them how they have some free track and some peace and quiet to run some fast laps by themselves and maybe make up some time while they're not stuck behind someone. Here they both come off pit road together, though.
It's a coordinated team strategy, about 4 or 5 seconds on those strats. Meanwhile, no one's been able to get to the back end of the Poon machine since that mistake from Mitchell Ian Green. It seems they are so dead even on pace. Mitchell Ian Green almost needs Poon to make mistakes for him to get to the 59.
Yeah, he really does. I mean, this is only Poon's 4th race of the season. He raced week 1, and then we did not see him again for multiple weeks. And now, obviously last week he won that race and is looking right now like a good candidate to do it again as we're near the halfway point of this race. And maybe what we're seeing is a glimpse of what next season could look like if Poon decides to run full time.
And the interesting note when it comes to Poon, we talked a bit about various series he's ran in. For example, he's run in Sim Racers Asia GT4 Championship action, launched McLaren G Challenge in the past as well. But in recent years, you know what his most consistent special event track has been? Where he's been able to perform the best for his team? The Nürburgring. The 24 hours of the Nürburgring. 3rd and 10th in the past 2 years for that organization. Only better finish than that, or runs that top 3 and best finishes, a Sebring run in 2020. So he can contend on a track like this.
Yeah, that's always good to see. I mean, every driver has a favorite track, whether it be an oval track or a road course. Everyone has a favorite where they do well, and sometimes maybe your favorite isn't where you do well. Some of us have tracks we despise, but somehow we do better there than that. But obviously he has figured out this Nürburgring, and to be 3rd and 10th in the past 2 years in a Nürburgring 24, that's a high praise.
All at the age of 18. Not bad as we take a look at some of the air battles on track. Still groupings getting close. Wheel wing to front wing. Blake Seedy nearly sheds off his front wing, getting underneath Crane Fuss.
Beautiful job setting up that corner there, getting the inside and then drifting all the way out to block off any kind of pass back attempt.
Our pit stop this past time by the way, Genero has completed service. He's also lost 13 seconds to Kita and Swindells.
That is a massive amount of time. I'm going to take a look for a second here.
Boy, there was a slide after the pit stop. Oh, wow, Ziti. His battle is saying, thanks for the position. We'll see if the thanks is paid back by a position swap back. There goes Crane Fuss for a chance. They stay out just past halfway this time around.
Now, I was taking a look at your comment there about Genero. I mean, obviously, I can tell you he was 3 seconds slower on the pit delta itself. But that's not enough to make up all 13 seconds. As you said, he also had a slide, so that'll be there. But man, this battle is still live here between Poon and Mitchell Ian Green. In fact, Mitchell Ian Green was a half second faster last time, so that'll help close that gap back up a little bit here. This fight is still on here as we're now past halfway in this F3 race.
Pit stops expected in the next 5 minutes or so for the leaders. Calandra Munstall's now in, by the way. Also complete service this past time around, Brad Miller. Still keeping an eye on how things break down with Williams and Miles. 8 seconds behind the leader, 149.5s. They are both quicker than the leader. Downside is they're about 5 corners behind.
Something to keep an eye on here, and maybe you can help me a little bit here with Genero to finish up that storyline. My timing and scoring shows he must have done fuel only and no tires, because he's like less than a 1 second pit stop. That doesn't sound right. I'm kind of confused.
There's no way that's right.
Okay.
Well, here's the major thing. A lot of drivers top off on the fuel, I think is the right way to phrase it. He did go on the jacks and change rear tires, it appeared. Or at least a part of that tire, or tires in general. That's why you might see a 7 second pit stop, which is what General's actual time was there, not 0.1.
Okay.
Fuel only is a 5 second stop.
Speaking of fuel here, Ryan Miles doing a great job staying behind J.R. Williams here. This will allow him to burn a little less fuel, meaning he'll need a little less time on pit road, and he almost just cut through that corner instead of the inside of it. I thought for sure he was just going to like body slam J.R. Williams over that curb there. I was really concerned for a second.
I mean, if that was to happen, J.R. Williams and his championship chances are gone.
By the way, this is a great view, and I say, I love this view right here, Justin, because watch through the corner here. Look how smooth that is. It's almost, you can kind of tell that Ryan Miles is just having an easy night here in this car, because there's no sawing of the wheel, there's no fighting, there's no back and forth. Just nice, smooth inputs through the corners here at the Nürburgring.
It's kind of what you need to do. If you aren't smooth on the wheel, it's hard to hold on, especially at a road course like this.
Yeah, especially in cars like this. This is not a car that allows for a whole lot of play in the wheel and a lot of, back and forth movement before something bad will happen to you. So, always good to see here. J.R. Williams came into tonight second in points, and right behind his teammate Julio Palacio, who's up in third. So, that gap will probably open a little bit more unless things change here in the next 9 or 10 laps.
10 laps to go at the stripe. And his family can tell you when it comes to Ryan Miles, it's worth saying. Does love the German tracks. After all, he has run here solidly in the past. Can he get a run, though, to take away the 6th spot? No, just electing to wait.
Oh, hold on. Oh, I thought he was going to cut it in right there. No, he made, let's be honestly, I mean, like I said, he's a little less time on pit road right now. That might be where he hops ahead of J.R. Williams. That 10th or 2/10 of a second in that pit box time might be his advantage now. But he's all over the back end of this car. I'm almost getting the impression, Justin, if Ryan Miles could get around J.R. Williams, he might pull away from him pretty quickly.
Robert Ridgway's a good study on that. He is running a 10th of a second quicker than what Miles' pace is. Ridgway is in clean air, and if anything, is about to get into the draft of Placio. Looking at the race leader, still 1 second the difference between these two. Poon has led every lap so far today. When does he come in? We're almost at that time when the leaders usually duck down, if not a couple minutes away from that.
I was going to think it was either this lap, likely this lap, maybe the next one, but we'll wait and see here.
Has been picking the tempo back up. Mitchell Green got within 0.8 of a second, then had a slide in the arena section. Mitchell Green since then has not been able to close back into drafting distance. Now he's back into drafting distance with a better run through the chicane. Calix Poon is in. Mitchell Green to match.
Watching the entrance to pit road here. Man, they are fast coming through there, and they get it, as far as I can tell, calm down in time. Look at the big line behind them. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 cars I can see down pit road.
J.R. Williams, the only driver in the top groupings not to come down there. How much fuel does Boone put in? How much does Mitchell Green put in? Dead even on the stop. Mitchell Green is within drafting distance off the pit exit. Placio holding off a couple other drivers. Ridgway and Ovando both gaining a decent amount of time to get up to Placio. What happened?
Yeah, I'm looking right now to see the pit stop times and the deltas. Palacio, a longer delta, 24.3. That is a second longer. That is more than a second longer than Boris Ovando. So, oh my gosh. 24.3. Let me put, you see the graphic there. I'll put some times in your head, Justin. Calix Poon, 23.3. Mitchell Ian Green, 23.4. And the big one, Boris Ovando, a 22.9 was the pit delta. So they gained some time on Palacio there on pit road.
All this is now for a battle for the podium. Ovando amongst those who was as far back as 2-3 seconds to Placio. Ridgway had just gotten within drafting distance before the pit stop. Downside, there's still 4 seconds back from the race leader.
Yeah, that is the downside, right? And of course, you know, that's the I guess they want to say the hypothetical or the eventual race leader, because right now J.R. Williams leads. Here's the paddle, though. Hold on.
Ridgway wants a podium. He goes for the cross-up. Not able to make the up and under work. Placio cuts off the diamond. Now Ovando with the double toe going up the inside.
Ovondo's now going to get side by side here through the corner. It's a pretty easy corner, so they'll ride. Oh, a little loose there, though. You can see the cars turn a little bit sideways.
And Placio lets the send happen and lets 2 drivers zip on by. Williams into the pit lane. Just like that, Placio goes from possible top 3 to the 5th spot net in 1 corner.
As I said, J.R. Williams down pit road. This will be the, as far as I can tell, the end of the pit cycle. Everyone will have pitted as of this point. I like this move by Williams to stay out for an extra lap, get some clean traffic, see what you can do with it. But now he'll come out here. So that cycles us back around to Calix Poon leading this field here. But that lead is not as big as it used to be, Justin. It's down to about 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, Mitchell Ian Green, a perfect in-lap for that final corner to set up that run up to the commitment cone. Then that send to the commitment cone without speeding. And now Poon is locking up the tires. Mitchell Ian Green with a shot of the race lead. Defensive moves from Poon, looking to go back-to-back. Mitchell Ian Green looking to try and break the back-to-back second place runs. Diamond line taken. Can't make it fully work.
No, that's not the corner to do it at. That's that wide turn is too wide, but now set it up nicely here. There you go. That's the lead change. Hold on.
Not done yet. Ian Green, preferred line. Poon, not backing out yet.
Nope. And now this back and forth will means Poon has the inside lane, and we'll have it again as we come up to the next corner here.
Mitchell Ian Green for the first time to the lead. Poon trying to make the run.
Now we'll come into a left-hander. And this seems to be the one spot where everyone lets everyone go. They know they don't want to battle through that corner as we come around to the end of a lap here. So now Mitchell Ian Green for the first time tonight is your leader, Justin.
For the first time today, Calix Poon is not in the race lead. Can Mitchell Ian Green hold on for his first win of the season? After being close so many times in the past couple weeks, Poon with a hard charge to the arena section can't get there.
Now the challenge for Poon is to push, but not push too hard. You push too hard here on a corner and you end up off track, and instead of being second, now you're third, fourth, fifth, eighth if you're not careful by being off track here one or two times.
Mitchell Ian Green looking for his first career PRL victory as well, by the way, if things stay. But there's still a long wait from home. 6.5 laps to go. 3 seconds to buffer for the top two over Ridgeway and Ovondo's pack.
This race, of course, is the beginning of about a 10-day cycle here on RaceSpotTV of pretty much nothing but road courses, at least as far as PRL is concerned, Justin. Of course, tonight, F3. Sunday night, the Cup Series goes to Indy Road Course. So we have, the GR86s and the GT4 LMP3 Monday night, the GT3s on Tuesday night, and then next Wednesday, both the Truck and the Xfinity on Watkins Glen.
Can Calix Poon walk his way back up to the point? No. Nearly missing the corner, in fact. Calix Poon losing the draft. He drops back 1 second from that mistake.
Wow. And that's going to put him probably out of the draft here, and it's going to let Mitchell Ian Green breathe a little small bit of relief here. Let's watch it again. Go, caught.
He wasn't going to make it stick from that sharp of an angle. Suppose
That's that corner we talked about a second ago. That's the one. That's the same corner where Palacio lifted about 3 or 4 laps ago and let 2 drivers by. The drivers really know that's not the corner to battle in. And it looks like Poon just picked the wrong corner to try and make a pass.
If these two stay working together, meanwhile, if Poon gets back up to Mitchell Ian Green, guess what? These two get back into both their drafts, if not at least one of theirs. The thing is, Ovando seems to want to go.
And right now, this is a positive night for Robert Ridgeway here, because he is trying to gain some points. He came into tonight 55 points off of Julio Palacio. He will not make up many of them tonight in his current standings, but gains are gains, and you have to look at it in that positive manner if you're Robert Ridgeway.
Be his first podium of the season. Coming up to 5 laps to go. PRL Esports machine still rides on behind. Palacio, for reference, 2 seconds back of all of this. Has lost a lot of ground. Ovando going nearly wide. How to ride the side of the curbing for a second.
And really, in these F3 cars, it's amazing that you can ride the curbing like that sometimes, because in an F3 car, it does not take a whole lot to unsettle the balance of this car when you're riding curbs like that.
Oh, Ridgeway misses the corner, though. Ovando forces the mistake. Was that the play, though? Ovando now gets the draft. Ridgeway defending to the inside wall. 17 on the inside, 2 on the outside. Opening corner, Ridgeway peels him off.
A beautiful setup and move right there through those big wide corners, and really just knew how he wanted to execute it and did it pretty well. But they're not done battling. They're going to keep it up here through these sweeping corners. And now they're going to try. He's going to try to make the move here to the inside. Nah, I'm not sure it's going to work.
Ovando, little air contact. Able to both hold on to it as Ridgeway misses the bottom. Again, Ovando with the preferred line. And here comes Palacio. Heading up to the chicane. A bit of a late arc and a bit of a missed arc.
Oh,
Ovando misses the corner. Boris Ovando yet again with troubles in the later stages now today. That drops him out of the contention for the podium and now having to defend for 5th.
And that's unfortunate for Ovando. And now what it does as well is it puts Julio Palacio just one spot behind Robert Ridgway, who is just trying to fight for everything. Now let's look back at 11th and 12th, though. This is Fabio Conde and Takeshi Kita back here at 11th and 12th. Kita, of course, had one of his best Q runs in forever. And he qualified, I think, 13th to start the night, but has been stuck there all night long, it feels like.
Conde did have a top 10 run going. Now he has no run going. The Brazilian is in the wall, out of the race. Conde, one of his better runs of the season, done.
Very hard hit there. You saw the car just kind of almost come apart at the seams there. So that'll be, I guess, good news for Takeshi Kita to have that free spot.
Under 4 laps to go. Mitchell Green, his lead is going down and fast in some of these braking zones. Poon outright sending it in some of these sections to try and get within 1 second. He's almost there. For Conde, he's no longer on the track or at the facility.
And it's hard to see sometimes in that car what happens. And I mean, they've been riding that much curb all night long, it feels like. So to think that curb is what caught him off guard, but it's just so easy to unbalance a car like this. And I think that's what happened. He's caught too much curb and probably slammed the gas at the wrong time and sent the car around that way.
Poon, meanwhile, sends it for another 1/10 of a second gain. That might be enough to latch onto this draft. He is on full attack mode through Michael Schumacher-esque to Mitchell and Corbin Warnsteiner.
This is an interesting moment right here for Poon, because sometimes pushing hard pays off and you close the gap and you make a race of it. And sometimes the more you push, the worse it gets, either because you're burning up tires, you're heating up those tires, or frankly, you miss a corner and now, you know, it gets worse. Now, the good news for Poon about pushing here is you can push a little bit because it is almost, 4 seconds back to 3rd place. So you're not in any real fear that if you miss one corner, you know, you'll give up more spots yet.
That tight corner complex, though, has been really starting to lose Poon some time. 2 times in a row through NGK chicane, he's clattered part of the curbing. 9/10 back, 3 laps to go. Lap 22 underway.
Of course, based upon that purple font there on the ticker on the left-hand side, you see Ian Green also has the fastest lap of the night. That was set pretty early on. So right now, gaining a lot of points for Mitchell Ian Green.
You know who has the second fastest?
I do not, actually.
Calix Poon.
That's a good stat to have if you're Calix Poon.
Thing is, though, that air wash, how do you break through it? Because Poon is starting to struggle again. With once he gets within 8/10, he loses all the time.
Yeah, and it's a common thing with these cars. I feel like we talk about that every week, JP, which is that there's like a 1 second bubble where once you get inside it, it becomes way harder to handle on this car and keep an eye on it. And that's why you have to kind of find a different line than your competitor. It's really hard to break that 1 second bubble. But if you can do it, then you know you have a great car and a great setup and a great run. But right now, that doesn't seem possible.
Draft once again closing up another 1/10 of a second for Poon. Hard send up through to start of Sector 3. 7/10 back now is Poon. Now he lines it up for the straightaway section before that chicane complex again. 2 laps to go up at the stripe. Will it be Mitchell Ian Green for his first win, or will it be Poon for his second career PRL victory?
There in C-Green now, you can see how many people are up and down some spots here. Biggest movers +9. That's Brad Miller up to P12, by the way. And then Richard Swindell's up 6. And of course, the one I can see right there was a -11. That's got to be one of the hardest hits tonight as far as drops.
That is Marini once again having some struggles tonight. It's been a difficulty for the 45 and keeping it clean parts of the season, although the pace has been there. Already under 2 laps to go. J.R. Williams now taking the fastest lap away as the first driver all race to reach the 1:48.9s.
Wow. That's it's always impressive to me how at the end of the race we seem to have this F1 style moment where someone comes in and just, you know, blisters down a new lap. But good job for JR Williams here.
Robert Ridgway's chance at a podium not fully secure yet because Placio is coming. Ovando and Williams are also just outside their drafting range.
Yeah, this is a battle that's been going on for a while and really started when Ridgway missed that corner earlier and fell back here. See a nice drone shot here. We're going to try to come in on him here. That's a great view to see just the gap they're facing here through these corners.
Placio still not close enough to be able to get the podium spot again. Placio looking for 3 straight third-place finishes to help solidify a solid gap in the championship standings entering the second last race of the season in Detroit. Leaders entering the chicane complex, getting ready for the white flag this upcoming time by. Will it be Ian Green, will it be Poon, or will it be anybody else if things boil over? White flag is out, final time around for the Nürburgring.
Poon has really been consistent or even decreased that lead at times. You saw Ian Green tried a small bit of a snake move there to help break any draft, but don't think it's necessary, if I'm honest with you.
Still an 8/10, nearly 9/10 difference between first and second. Poon trying to launch it. Lost all the time on that launch. And Mitchell Ian Green has now broken the draft. Poon is losing ground in bunches all of a sudden.
Yeah, really looked like you caught the grass there in that big wide corner, and that'll slow you down. So, oh, hold on, man. A little bit of a loose moment there for Ian Green. Looked like hard to handle there, but Ian Green, as a white flag is out, having a nice, not an easy run, but a calm run now. Just going to pace it back around here, see if he can take the win.
Can he get the Rust Racing machine to the checker flag? Verdi showed great pace earlier this campaign with a near win for the Oxide side of the club. For Iron, a chance to break through for the organization here tonight. Just a few more corners to go. More than a second up for the lead. Nearly off the track again.
Nice battle here. Poon's trying everything he can to make that battle happen, but I think this is pretty easy here for Ian Green here on out.
One final time to the chicane for Mitchell Ian Green. For 2 straight weeks, he's been a bridesmaid. He's no longer a bridesmaid. He gets himself his first career Precision Racing League victory. Mitchell Ian Green wins at the Nürburgring. Calvix Poon back-to-back podiums, and Robert Ridgway holds on to third for his first podium in a long while. What a finish.
Great finish indeed. What a race. I mean, saw some nice tight battles there, some back and forth through the corners. Great result here, and of course a lot of points being made up in the back of the field for guys who survived the first or second lap calamity.
Placio and Ovando amongst the top 5. Brad Miller still able to get the most spots gained at 9 spots up. One other battle still on the racetrack, Jasper and Vargas to close things on out. In turn, though, 19 drivers finish off the night on the lead lap. After 26 take the green flag, San Diego and Harris did not start after participating in final practice. A smoke show building up in turn 1. Mitchell Ian Green, a first-time winner. Back-to-back race weeks in the F3 Series. We've seen that here in the PRL. Calix Poon had a chance to go back-to-back on the schedule. Instead, it's a second-place run tonight. Robert Ridgway in third. Julio Placio in our top 5 run in 4th. Ovando in 5th. Williams, Miles, Ritters, ZD, and Cranefuss, the top 10. 11th spot, Takeshi Kita. Did not gain too many spots from that qualifying run. Brad Miller did gain a lot of spots from his qualifying run, 21st to 12th. Richard Swindells and Caleb Lehman, followed by Christian Jasper, Manuel Vargas, and Nicholas Calander. James Carter and Joshua Chinsky finished off the lead lap. Brett Thurman is currently burning down his car because, guess what? He finished 3 laps down after technical issues. James Nonamaker after a crash 4 laps down in 21st. Conde DNF from 22nd. Marini in 23rd. Vince General DNF'd in 24th. Vasconcelos 25th. Jeff Groff, the last driver in tonight's running order here from Germany. With J.R. Williams picking up the fastest lap in a lead lap. Going to be interesting how the championship complexion now plays out. But one thing is for certain. Mitchell Ian Green is now a PRL race winner and a winner in the F3 series as part of his part-time schedule. Mitchell Ian Green still making his way over from virtual victory lane. Let's start in reverse today. For the first time in a long time, Robert Ridgway, you're on the podium.
Hey, how you boys doing? It's been a while.
Is it bad I forget how long it's been since we've spoken to you? Since the time you were battling for the AM Championship. How does it feel to be back in the broadcast booth and back into the top 3 in the overall running order?
Man, honestly, it's a credit to PRL because their talent pool's gotten a bit higher, so you have to step your game up to get up to the podium these days. And today, that was a exciting one to get there.
And that wasn't easy, though, in terms of the battling Ovando pressurizing you. Palacio, you had to be able to hold off in the late stages. What was going through the mind trying to hold on to third as several drivers tried to send it up the right side?
Don't spin the car. The Boris one was fun because I was like, he's got this. He's basically got the overtake. What is that? Turn 8. And that was just beautiful. I really enjoyed that. Nothing better than hitting a little Olay. And then Palacio, man, he was solid. I couldn't never get close to him to attack him. Only reason I got by him is because Boris got behind, and then I got on the inside and got past him, and then they ended up behind. And then when Palacio was behind me, he couldn't catch me. So strangely, this track, well, it's a little bit difficult to overtake, but it was a good time.
And one last question. Derek Watson wants me to ask this. Do you like pancakes or waffles?
Well, is there fried chicken involved?
Sure.
Then waffles, of course.
Well, congratulations on the podium, Robert.
Thank you, sir.
That's Robert Ridgway, for the first time in a long while. Top 3 in the running order. Calix Poon nearly went back-to-back. Everyone had been trying to keep up with the Poon machine. Instead, it's second place with Derek.
Calix, it's a beautiful run here. A win last week and a second place this week. Walk us through the race. Were you happy for this track to be coming up, or what were your thoughts as we started the night?
Originally I was quite happy until I first tried it, like this combination. I just didn't really have the confidence that I had in Donington. So I know I would struggle like quite a bit more compared to Donington, but I'm surprised that I got pole and even like second place in, the race. So yeah, I think I'm satisfied with what I've done today.
This, of course, being only your 4th race of the season. As you stand right now, do you think you're going to run full-time next season, or is this part-time thing more of your gig for this series?
Well, it depends because this year I finish high school, so next year I'm going to go to university. I'm going to study in UK, but of course I'm now in Hong Kong, so I'm not sure if I can set up the whole rig in time for the next season. So maybe season 1 of 2024, maybe I'll come back, but let's see. I have no idea right now.
Fair enough. And just remind our viewers who are watching here, what time is it in Hong Kong currently?
It's 10:35 a.m. So it's all right. It's all right. It's better than one of the league races.
One of UK times.
Yeah. Those are really, exhausting and yeah.
Fair enough. Well, good job on P2 tonight. We have a question for you. Terry Radford and I started this last night during the PRL, Xfinity, and Truck Series. We're going to continue it all week long. Pancakes or waffles? Which do you prefer?
I would prefer pancakes. It's more
right?
of a morning thing for me.
And do you put anything on your pancakes? Syrup, butter, peanut butter,
syrup,
jelly, anything?
butter. Syrup and butter.
All right. Well, listen, good job tonight. Are we gonna see you next week at Belle Isle?
Yes, definitely. I'll finish off the season of when taking part all the rest of the races. So yeah, I'll be back next week.
All right. Well, good job tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That is Calix Poon. He finished P2 tonight, and now I believe Justin has caught up with our race winner.
Yes, indeed. For the second straight week, it's a first-time winner in the Precision Racing League. It's Mitchell Ian Green. After back-to-back second-place runs, you finally get the job done tonight. How's it feel to be a PRL winner?
It's a long time coming, so it feels amazing, to be honest.
How so?
We've been doing this car for a long time. We took a break. Me and Russ Racing came back for the season. I did not expect to be competitive, but so to score 2 podiums and then win a race is far beyond my expectations.
Talk us through that battle tonight, because Calix Poon seemed very difficult to beat. You cracked the code, though. What do you think got it done, and why?
Yeah, he's absolutely rabid. I think so. I did the fuel calcs, and it came out that if you did a little bit of fuel saving, you'd be able to stretch it to 16 laps. So I was doing a little bit of fuel saving and saving the tires. But at the end of the 15th lap, I just didn't want to chance it. So I came in with Calix, and I think honestly what really helped me out was the good stop. I think I nailed my pit stop.
And in turn, not sure if you realize this yet, you're also now a part of that PRL All-Star Invitational coming up with this bid. Again, how big is this in terms of your PRL career? Saying you came back, now break on through, and now you get to compete with the best of the best in terms of all the series combined coming up, but also build momentum for next season.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know that. That's awesome. I'll definitely be partaking. There's a lot of fast people in this league, so I don't know how I'll do, but I'll give it my best shot.
One final question, and this is a question that was started by Derek Watson. Pancakes or waffles?
Eggs and bacon.
That is not a pancake, and that is not a waffle.
If I had to pick, waffles.
Congratulations on your first career victory.
Thank you, guys.
That's Mitchell Ian Green, first-time winner here on the PRL. I'd like to thank Kim, Calix Poon, and Robert Ridgway for taking the time to speak with us during post-race coverage here on RaceSpot. Derek, your final thoughts here as we get set to go to Detroit next week.
I'm excited for that. It's a track that is, classic and has history, and to see what these cars can do there in some nice tight corners. Maybe we'll see a third first-time winner.
We'll see on August the 16th, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the set start time. Keep an eye on RaceSpot for next week. On that note, it's time to say goodbye. For my broadcast colleague and Derek Watson, for Raphael Sankey, I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your evening. You've been watching the Precision Racing League's F3 series from iRacing's virtual Nürburgring.